Hey everybody, this is Rich from the Metal Cell Podcast. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Mick Carey, Andy Whale and Lee Cummins of Death Collector. How are you, lads?
Hey Richie.
Good, yeah, very good.
Lee?
All good, cheers.
All
yeah,
good,
thanks.
man.
Yeah.
Lads, thanks a million for coming on. We were only short one member. Jesus Christ, I thought I had the full flush there.
Yeah. Kieran is no Brabham at the moment. He's their junction boss got hit by a storm or something. I saw he's got his mobile data, so he couldn't jump on.
Yeah, so shout out to Kieran, who's the singer of the band. And we've got Lee on bass, Andy on drums, and Mick on riffs. So, lads, first of all, thanks for sending the EP to me. I'm one of the lucky guys that managed to hear it. It's absolutely fucking brilliant. It's old school. I love it. I'm a big fan of old school death metal myself. And in a weird way, it's a breath of fresh air, even though it's an old school fucking sound you have. But it's done so well. You're to be commended on it. So congrats.
Cheers, Richie. Thanks. Glad you like
Cheers,
it.
mate.
The reviews have been really strong as well, lads. So far, so good.
Yeah, all positive reviews so far anyway. So fingers crossed. We're bound to get the old dud one here and there. Do you know?
Yeah. I don't think that's happened yet, has it?
No.
Yeah, no wonder.
They'll come now, Rich. They'll come. There's bound to be some. There's bound to be some guy who sort of like picks it to pieces and say, you know what people are like, can't they?
Lads, do any of you know is fucking Kerrang even still out there anymore?
No.
Fucking, it was like smash hits ultimately at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
My God, like, what were you saying, And?
I always remember we did when many years ago, back in early to mid 90s, no, probably early 90s, we got dragged down there for some interview, some bolt thrower interview. And then they just dragged out these sort of like 5 random singles that were out at the time and sort of like asked us half pissed, like me and Carl, asked us to sort of like pick our favourite one. And so I think one was Marillion, one was oh God. But yeah, they were just like five random songs that were around at the time. So I basically pissed up, just took the piss out of them, really.
Yeah.
That's what that magazine was like at the end, wasn't it? No?
It was amazing, wasn't it? Like, Mick, you remember fucking getting Kerrang back in the day, and Jesus, like you'd be reading about Florida death metal bands and everything, and then it just went to shit. I think they just followed trends, really.
Yeah, they did.
Well, it's what sells, isn't it? That's the thing.
Turned on kind of poppy punk kind of stuff like 82 and all that. Like, I think the last time I bought it maybe would have been the time, the church burnings in Norway. You ran in the front of it like that. I think that was probably the last time I maybe bought it. I don't think I even bought it. I think I borrowed it off a friend in school and never gave it back to him. I cut it up and stuck it all over my wall.
Any memories of that, Lee?
Yes, indeed. I think also the Terrorizer magazine went the same as well. It started off very positive and then ultimately just faded off into whatever was popular at the time.
There was a magazine before Terrorizer, Lee. I don't know if you remember. It was like Trash and Burn.
Yes. That one too. Yeah.
And then it turned into Terrorizer or something like that. I think it was the same publishers or something like that. Yeah.
Was it really? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the same writers anyway.
Yeah,
in that publication.
Yeah, the likes of, I was only on about that in a text message there the other night. Malcolm Dome, Dave Ling, Jesus Christ, could those lads write? And you know the way they'd review live gigs, especially with G Andy Boltrower, man. He got some fucking amazing reviews for live gigs on Kerrang and Metal Hammer back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, that was it, yeah. I mean, it was, to be honest, it was just back in the sort of like early 90s, around that side. It was just a great time to be in a band, especially with sort of like, I won't class it as sort of like death metal because it was, it's just a term, isn't it, really? But it was a great time to be in a band and be involved in all that sort of like, the way the scene built in a way. It was brilliant, I mean, look, especially when I was probably there, you don't really take so much notice of it, do you? You know, you can see it all building up, and I mean, obviously with Bolt Thrower, they got really big after I left. But yeah, it's weird looking back on it. It's a bit surreal, really. You know, to think that you're actually involved in it.
Yeah, and I mean, again, back then,
and it's great to see. It's great to see that people from them days as well. So a lot of people are still around doing stuff and still pretty, relevant as well with what they're they're still sort of like at the forefront of the whole thing that we do. You know.
Yeah, it is bizarre because I think you were saying that, Andy, that like if somebody said to you in your 20s that you'd be releasing Death Collector EP in whatever age you are now, man, you're supposed to your mid 50s anyway. If someone said that to the young Andy Whale, would he have laughed?
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I was talking to somebody else about it. It's like I remember when I used to go and see bands like Crass when I was sort of like, back in the mid 80s, that kind of thing, sort of, and you'd be there and sort of, there'd be one guy at the back of the gig or something who at that time when you're 18 just looked sort of like, maybe he just looked really old, do you know what I mean? And then now you look back on it and you think, well, hang on, yeah, he was probably in his like mid 30s or something. Do you know what I mean? But now it's amazing how the scene's changed. But I mean, for me, being honest, I mean, I'd never. I mean, if I'd been when I was in my 20s, when I was in Bolt Thrower, to think that I'm 57 now, to think that I'm still knocking out, decent stuff and still, still doing it really is just bizarre, really. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, really, it's down to the people that buy the records, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because a lot of the people that I know have grown up with, they've grown up with us as well, So sort of like, they were all there. I won't mention people's names, but they were all there in the early days from the the late 80s, and they're still knocking around now as well. Which they're the ones that are the vinyl collectors. They're the ones that are sort of like still buying all the record. They're they're in a way they've got they're that age now where they've got expendable incomes and
they can spend more.
Sort of like, yeah. So it's great to still be around. I mean, to be honest, it's quite bizarre, the way I did end up coming back. But I mean, I've had sort of like last 6 years or so, still knocking out and working with people that, and sort of, luckily enough, working with people that managed to produce some damn fine old music, really.
Yeah, and like. In relation, is it an age thing, Mick, in relation to, we'll say, the sound of Death Collector? There's obviously a big heritage you're drawing from, all of you are. Just talk to me about that heritage you felt in writing, we'll say, the music for it. Were you aware of what you were putting out in relation to bands that have come before ye in the 80s that were playing that style of death metal?
No. Just wrote riffs, Richie, and whatever came out like nothing forced. It was like, wasn't intentional or anything like that. Just whatever riffs rolled along together, send them on then to Andy and get beats back. Then they're sounding good, and we tweak a few bits then here and there.
Yeah,
yeah. At the end of the day, it's all down to the way that you play. Like everything that you would listen to, like that would have been listened to growing up. Obviously, would have an influence on you. No, but didn't deliberately set out to write in a certain style. It was just whatever worked,
Yeah. And how would you compare that to your writings then with Set Out Cold?
Oh, I try to keep both bands completely different,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's lots more about the speed and the aggression and blast beats and stuff like that, It's just straight ahead riffing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did that just naturally fall into order when you were working with Andy, or had you a discussion about that?
No, it just kind of came together, didn't it, Andy?
Yeah. Basically the way we worked is, like me or Mick have a riff or a drum beat, we'll just put it into Dropbox, and then that just as soon as the way it works with me, when Mick sends me guitar riffs, I sit down and listen to it, and I can sort of like start to hear and feel the way that it's going to build up, really. And then I just put down a basic drum beat, knock it back to Mick, and then he'll just change things around, and we just work it from there, don't we? Really, it's not. There's never ever. I don't think there's ever. You know, sometimes we sort of like sit down and say, right, what are we going to do? And then, but it never ends up like that anyway, does it? So,
No.
you know.
Like, do you kind of sometimes second guess each other too much in relation to certain songs? Like, does it sound like this band in particular, or has there been occasions where one of you went, "Oh fuck, that actually sounds exactly like such and such"?
No, there hasn't been anything like that anyway.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
And Lee, were you aware of all this, or were you like me, just watching the lads doing the cover versions?
Oh, sorry, what do you mean?
Were you aware that Andy and Mick were forming Death Collector, or were you just watching the cover versions like me, and then suddenly this beautiful creation came out of nowhere?
I was late to the party. I saw the covers that they did, the Entombed cover, and there was other things that they did as well. But I'm new to this, and 9 weeks I've been in this band now.
Right.
So the whole thing's just been a massive ride, should we say?
Yeah. And what was your background? I know you were in severe lacerations. What else were you in, Lee?
Nothing up until then. Yeah, absolutely nothing. I started that band, not to bore you with a story, but it was in the late 90s. I had to quit mid-2000 and rejoined 2 years ago.
Right.
So I've been doing my own thing since then, but that's not important. It's not what we're here for.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, as I said, I'm just trying to establish you were part of the scene pretty early on, so you would have came across Andy, I presume.
Absolutely.
How did that relationship develop?
Oh, sorry. I've followed his work since the late 80s, as most people, growing up listening to his music. To get the invite to be a part of this was obviously mind blowing. I can't say anything more than that. Anybody who would have got it would have felt exactly the same,
Yeah. And Andy,
also as well, Rick, Lee's daughter is a bit of a budding drummer. So over the last I don't know 6 months or so, I've been helping out a little bit of advice, and sort of for Lee as well. So we sort of like have known each other for a while. I've known Lee, obviously Lee, guitarist, but our friendship has just sort of like really gone over lockdown. Well, the last maybe 6, 7, 8 months of lockdown, really. And but like I say, like with his daughter as well, being a bit of a drummer, I've just been helping him out with a little bit of advice, really, on like getting her up and running.
Excellent stuff. Yeah. And he comes across as very modest, Andy, but I mean, what's he like as a musician?
This is where they all don't want to say he's rubbish.
The ball was put up in the air there for you, Andy. But did I see then, Lee, that you're after acquiring Glenn Benton's bass? Is that true?
No, I've got it.
You have it, yeah.
That's what I used for the EP.
And how did you come across that?
Lockdown. Okay. I was drunk and I saw that Eric Hoffman was selling a guitar.
Okay.
And I got in touch with him. He saw the message straight away, but never replied. And I thought, well, I'm just a pleb. There's no way he's going to reply to that. And then I carried on searching through Google, that night, and I came across the advert on Reverb. Is this the most evil bass ever? So I followed it through, and I thought, that's still active. Wow, yeah. So basically, I made one of my credit cards go very, very limp. And yeah, then I went and carried on partying and, you know, celebrating, thinking, I can't believe this is actually coming to my home from the States. The sad part about all this was when I woke up in the morning at 7:30 with a splitting headache, I got a message off Eric saying, I will see if my brother has any for you. And I just, oh no, you know. So yeah, I had to kind of moonwalk out of that conversation, shall we say.
And the bass arrived and perfect, plays beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I've since bought another one. The lads were talking about the possibility of gigs, and I actually bought this. I sold it to my wife as like a legacy for the family when I'm gone. Yeah, it might be worth a bit of money. And
we're the eternal dreamers, us metalers, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I didn't fancy the idea of taking it out on the road, but I've been playing it the past couple of days against the one that I bought since, and it just, you know, the one that I bought just doesn't equate. This thing is just it's just a beautiful, beautiful instrument.
Wow, Mick, what about that for a story?
Savage, like, isn't it? It's pretty cool. Yeah. Best thing Glenn Benton's bass has been on a long fucking time anyway, if you ask me.
That's class. And you said, Lee, that bass actually appeared on the EP, yeah?
Yes. The authenticity letter that came with it, it was used for the recording of Serpents of the Light.
Fuck me.
And there's a video of him using it on YouTube when he did his old throw the guts out into the crowd crack and all that. I think it was early 91, something like that. So
around the block a while, so Lee, I'd say, is it?
Sorry?
It's been around the block a while, so that bass.
Yeah. I mean, he's notorious for playing Ironbirds and not so much Warlocks, but you know, I'd like to say I've seen the evidence and I've got the authenticity. It's all kosher, you know.
Yeah, amazing. And like, you're not properly a bass player as such. You're more of a guitarist, do you?
Absolutely, yeah. But since joining this, I think I picked up a guitar once. And that was for one rehearsal, you know, with severe lacerations. But I've been running through the Death Collector stuff religiously twice a day, just to stay on top of it and you know. So
I'll move around. What does the upcoming release mean to you individually?
The EP that's coming out?
Yeah. The EP, what does it mean to you personally? Like,
I hope it goes over well, Richie. I hope people like it, you know, because it was started as fun. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
See how it goes. See, do you want to take it, run with it, see how far it'll go. Like, do you know, if people like it, cool. Do you know? Yeah. If there's interest there for an album, happy days. Like, because a load of stuff there written anyway as well. Like,
that's great to hear, man.
Yeah, so writing most days anyway. Like, I'm sitting here every day, more or less with a guitar in my hand anyway.
Yeah. So
Andy, what does it mean?
Andy, what does it mean to you personally to get this out?
I mean, it's great for me because I mean, 2 years ago, it's pretty much 2 years ago now since I played. I think it was March 5th and 6th or something like that. I played my last shows with Memoriam over in Denmark just before the pandemic hit. And then 6 or 7 months later after that, my shoulder, I had problems with my shoulder. So I had to walk away from Memoriam. I had to not, put drumming to one side for a bit. So, I mean, in them days, I was sort of like contemplating, that was probably it really, So, but I mean, obviously, once sort of like kicked in the physiotherapy and had a few injections in my shoulder, and obviously realised that things were getting, things were starting to pick up again. I would be able to, play the drums. And so, you know, with this being the end result, it's absolutely brilliant, really. I mean, you know, I couldn't, you know, although in a way I've lost 2 years, like same as everybody, we've lost 2 years of our careers, really. You know, well, careers. I'm, you know, part time, really. But you know, so for where I was 2 years ago to where I am now with this release coming out, it's I couldn't ask for any more, really. You know, I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. It's something that I've, you know, that what Death Collector of, you know, this EP is what it's my kind of music. Do you know what I mean? I love the mixture, you know, that old school sort of like sound, you know, where it's all mashed up with, you know, metal, hardcore, punk. Yeah. You know, it's got lots of energy. It's simple. It's, you know, and it takes, you know, it doesn't take it. It basically grabs you, slaps you around the face, and sort of like, you know, yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. And Lee, for yourself,
what's the question? Sorry.
What does it mean to you personally, like just to have a release out with the lads?
Oh, I can't describe it. I sound like a broken record. Yeah. Every morning, I pinch myself, and to be a part of this is just amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So you had, let's just talk about the guys you had with you during the covers as well. So you had Hempa and Dave Ingram, Steve Marr from Abaddon, Jason Walton as well. How did that come about from Agalloch?
Right. The way that worked was, to be honest, I've said this before as well. I don't really plan a lot of things. I just have an idea and throw it out there. You know, I'll sort of like go on Facebook and say, right, does anybody want to? It's the same with Mick as well. Can anybody help me with some guitar tracks? Mick got in touch with me, so I said, right, going to do War Master. You know, like and. You know, track off War Master anyway. The way it worked with that first War Master track was Gord did the vocals, Gord did the bass, Gord did the mix. But then, unfortunately, Gord had a bit of a few problems. He had to take a backward step. That was all fine. But obviously then we had the case of, well, although it's only an online, you know, YouTube thing, it still needs to be of a quality that people, you know. So it was a case of who do we get to mix it? So basically, there again, I just thought, right, we've got a problem. I'll just throw it out there and see what comes. And Jason got in touch with me and said, yeah, I'll help you out. You know, I'd love to. And that's how I solve most of my problems. just blindly. I just blindly sort of like think, right, you got to go back in a way, right back to the beginning of when I started doing all this, really, with Bolt Thrower. Peel session, how did we get that? I just cassette, put it in an envelope, wrote a letter, sent it to Tommy Vance, sent it to John Peel. Tommy Vance said, nah, not our thing. John Peel absolutely blew him away. And my sort of like thing in life is, what's the worst people can say? And if they say no, that's fine. You just carry on and ask someone else. Yeah. You know, and things, and I've always been like that. I never really worry too much about things. I just think, right, I'm going to do it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's how it's worked out with this project, really. It started from me and Mick, progressed, and then everybody's sort of like, you know, come on board, or, you know, and we've ended up with the final product, really, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is down to your personality as well, Andy. Being very modest there. If you were a cunt, I don't think anybody would be bothered with you being true.
No, I know what you mean. But I mean, it's sort of like, you know, I mean, it's just, I always try and just keep things pretty light and pretty, you know, it's all about, you know, I mean, because I've been in bands now since, I think the first recording I did was 82 with Urban Chaos. Obviously, I took like 20 years off between Bolt Thrower and Memoriam. but it's just I don't really take it. My thing is I don't really take it too seriously, really. If you're enjoying it and it works, and if it doesn't, just walk away from it and just if something else comes along, it will, and if it doesn't, it won't. It's not worth trying to plan things, really.
Mm. Would you agree with that, Mick, in relation to you?
Yeah, 100%. Like, there's a reason there's still myself, Jay and Jackie and Ellen, like, because three of us are best mates, like, Yeah, we know each other, know each other's heads and everything, like, we're all mates as well. So it's all fun, like, if something is crap, you'd walk away from it, like. Yeah. But
again, it's like the level of playing you bring to it as well. I mean, that's there in spades for even those that were watching the covers that you were doing. It wasn't a half-assed attempt, by any means. Like, so
no, but yeah, I mean that war, the bolt thrower cover, the Bathory one and the Entombed one, they're all really, they're quality, really. But that's what you've got to, I mean, really though, that's what you've got to strive for in a way, because if you don't, people will just rip it to pieces, won't they?
Yeah.
Well, as well as that, Andy, there's so many people fucking doing covers out there on YouTube over lockdown that, it's very easy just to kind of land on some guy playing guitar, and if he's shit, you'll just move on. But if you come across what you were doing, there's no way you'd move on. You'd actually stick through it right to the end and go, fucking hell, this is brilliant. And as I said, the combination of people that you got involved is Dave Ingram as well, man. And as I said, Steve Marr, man, they're all, legends of the scene as such. Like.
It worked well. It worked well, didn't it, really? So, but there again, for especially for me and Mick as well, it just kept us busy as well, really, over lockdown. Because there wasn't a lot else to do, was it, really?
No.
You know what I mean?
No. There was nothing else to do. Like, everywhere was shut. There was no gigs. There was nothing happening, like, So it was good. Like there's a lot of bands, like, around Limerick, Ritchie, right, that didn't even meet up over lockdown to rehearse or anything like that. Yeah. They all just stayed at home, and they didn't do anything.
Yeah. And your connection then, Hempa did some job on the production and mixing mastering. Was that through Darkened, Andy, is it, that you met Hempa? Was that Gord?
Oh, right, sorry. No, it was Gord that did the mixing and mastering, sorry. It wasn't.
Was he in Darkened?
Yeah, he's the vocalist. He's a vocalist in Darkened, yeah. Really, he's an absolute... Gord is like one of these guys. He's just absolutely brilliant at whatever he does, and there's not a lot he doesn't seem to be able to do. I've seen, if you check him out on YouTube, some of his guitar tutorials, absolutely amazing. I always knew that he could do a good job on the on the EP as well. So and the ideas that he brought to it as well were absolutely brilliant, really. I mean, with some of the sounds that he's used, I mean, even down to guitar sounds, bass sounds, so I always knew that he could do a good job, and he did, basically.
Wow, I mean, as I said, like, it's the standout for me is just like how all the individual instruments all get their place and they sound so fucking amazing. Even Lee, the bass in it is just like a fucking Panzer division.
Yeah, that's all down to God. All he asked for from me was the DI tracks, basically.
Right.
He geniusly crafted that tone, and when we heard it back, it was like, wow.
Were you happy, Mick, with it?
Yeah, he did the same with the guitars. Like, he asked me for DIs. He said he reamped himself, like,
Okay.
So yeah, I just sent him DIs, and when I was doing the leads, obviously, like, I got the lead tone here myself, but I messaged him then in private. I was like, if you want to try any effects in this or whatever, have at it, like, do whatever you want, give him 100% free reign over it, like, yeah. That's how much I kind of trusted him, like, with it, to do a good job, yeah.
And you've never met this dude before?
No, I haven't met any of these lads in person except for Andy, maybe. That's it, like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just fucking mind blowing how this thing has come about. Really, like.
Yeah.
God lives in Calgary, basically. Yeah, he's over in like Calgary, over in Canada. So, but like I say, he's just, for me, he's an absolute genius, really. You know, the only way I can explain it is he has an instinct for what the sound that he's aiming for, and to be honest, he's absolutely nailed it on this EP, really.
Yeah. You've played on how many Darkened albums? Have you played on all of them, Andy?
Yeah, I did. Basically, what have we done so far? We did the first EP, which came out in 2019. The first album, so the EP was Into the Blackness. Then the first album we've just released in the last month or so, a 2-track single.
More than the Dying Light. Yes, great EP.
Yeah. And then the album is supposedly supposed to be coming out. But yeah, like with Darkened, basically, the whole way that came about was myself and Daryl Khan, from I always get it wrong, Funeral Brow, anyway, from over in the States. We've known each other for quite a long time. We've always been on about doing a band project, and basically Hemper was somebody that he'd worked for before, and we just got together, and basically the same as me and Mick, we just hit off and just basically produced those first first EP album, and it's just gone from there, really. So, but hopefully, the second album's absolutely cracking anyway.
Yeah. Again, it's not ever going to be toured, I'd imagine, considering.
No. Yeah. When me and Hemper first started working on the first, even down to the first EP, we had a bit of a chat, and Hemper always said that one of the things he never wanted to do was play live shows. So we just sort of said, right, it's just keep it as a project. Hopefully this Darkened will be different, and we'll get to do maybe a few festivals. I don't know. Well, let's see.
Yeah. Just again, Mick, how are you progressing with Zealot Cult or Brigantia? Are you writing any stuff for them at the moment?
We've the new Zealot album written, and the last couple of gigs that we've done, like we did.
I was at the one in Limerick. Yeah, you played a few tracks off that. Class.
We played in Dublin as well. We played about 5 new tunes then at that. And we did one there then just before the end of the year in Dolan's as well. We played about 5 tunes off it. So, yeah, we have about 8 or 9 songs for the new album anyway. So we're starting to demo them now.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're hoping to get in now, start recording them pretty soon.
Will it be out this year, do you think?
Hopefully. I might have an old bootleg tape if you like, or send it after.
And Lee, again, back to you. Severe Lacerations, Death is the Shepherd of Mankind. When did that come out?
It come out a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
The lads actually have been working on it for, must be going on 3 years, something like that. It was before I rejoined, and again, just to get those tracks over the line was just ridiculously long. So we got there in the end.
Yeah.
We're just undergoing a lineup rebuild at the moment because a lot of the band quit for personal reasons. So, but we can't stop.
And where are you based out of, Lee?
Cumbria, northwest England. Yeah. Okay.
So, it's not beyond the realms of possibility when all these gigs kick in that Death Collector will possibly play a few dates in the UK.
It'd be nice too.
We
shall see. The thing is, it's not really, like I always say, in all these aspects, really, it's not really up to us, is it? It's up to the people that put the gigs on, to get in touch with us. It's like with this album as well. I mean, it'd be great to do an album, but I mean, obviously, it'd be nice to do it on a label. So, you know, I mean, but early days, isn't it?
Yeah, I was trying to help you out in that aspect. I don't know if it was Mick saying or not, but yeah, it's certainly refreshing to know that there's probably, you've held back 4 or 5 songs at least that could possibly go on to another EP or an album if need be. Like.
Yeah, there's stuff that we're working on already. I think like there's altogether, including the 3 songs that are on this EP, there's about 8 tracks. Nearly there, yeah.
So what I'm getting to make is like that if you were to do a set, you have a 30, 40-minute set there comfortably.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I mean, the EP is 12 minutes long, man. That's fucking mental, isn't it?
Play it 3 times.
And who came up with the title, Time's Up?
Kieran.
Okay.
I think it was Kieran that came up with it anyway. I'm nearly certain it was anyway.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, and the meaning behind it, if any of you want to?
I think anyway it means your time's up. The debt collector's coming to get you. Or something like that. That's the way I kind of look at it anyway. You know? Yeah.
Who came up with the name of the band, actually?
It was a weird one, really, wasn't it? Because we were trying to work it a name, weren't we? And it wasn't really working, I think. And in the end, I sort of like was looking on YouTube, and there's a couple of old films, sort of like B movies, basically. One with is it Joe Pesci? Is it no?
I think it's Joe Pesci. Isn't it? Is it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's his first film, isn't it? Yeah, and basically his first film is called, I think it's called The Death Collector. Yeah. And I just thought that was really good name, you know, Death Collector. And it just sort of like, I remember Mick just got back in touch, didn't you, and said, yeah, that's the one. And so when, but I think it's a great. I think it's a great name for a band anyway, because in a way it sort of like puts us down to a T in a way, because you know we've spent that many years in death metal. We have collected the whole thing, haven't we? In a way, a sound, you know, sort of like. But yeah, that's where it comes from. There's if you go on YouTube, there's sort of like Joe Pesci's first movie is called The Death Collector, and I just thought it's. Great actor, great name for a film, like, you know.
I could only imagine the fucking soundtrack to that movie. Jesus Christ.
I'm IMDb and it's here. 1976 it was released.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah. Joe Cortese, Louis something, and Joe Pesci, yeah.
Fucking classic.
Yeah.
And
so,
what
IMDb rating of 5.7 out of 10.
Jesus, man. Let's hope he can get fucking higher than that when TP's Blame it on Joe. What other names had you? Had you any shit names?
I can't even remember half from Richie.
Did we have something like? Did we come up with something stupid? Well, like not stupid, but like something like War Mind or something like that, wasn't it? Or, I think that came up, and that was ditched pretty quickly. But I think I think we didn't really put too much emphasis on it, did we? The name, we just concentrated on those
and the music,
yeah. And then it just the name just came, really, you know.
Yeah.
So just going back to the touring side of things, you're going to have to recruit another guitarist, Mick. You can't do it all by yourself, son.
Yeah.
And like, if I think, you know, I genuinely think that if it does open up again, we have our gigs back and stuff, man, there's a mini tour of Ireland there just waiting for you.
Yeah. Cool, all right. Like I'm totally open to doing gigs with this anyway, 100%.
Yeah. It needs to be fucking heard live, lads. That's that's the most important thing about this EP that I can take away from it. It needs to be heard live.
I think if you got a decent gig with a decent crowd, which I mean at the moment is absolutely you know, 100% really. Because I mean, people, I've noticed gigs that I've seen online or that kind of thing, and people talking about the gigs they've done. People are just absolutely, really 100% into getting back into gigs, aren't they? So, yeah. But I think if this whole thing we're doing with Death Collector, I think we can get that live. You know, I think it'd kick off. You know, it'd be absolutely brilliant response for it. But yeah, you never know, do you? I mean, that's, you know, but I mean, up to now, it's all good. So hopefully, yeah. But I'd be up for doing a gig or two.
Yeah, man, you're doing the EP justice by playing it live. It has to be fucking heard live, because that was the first thing I took from it when I listened to it. I went, Jesus Christ, this is just perfect for even a tent or a fucking sweaty fucking nightclub, man, to listen to that. And it's really refreshing to hear as well that you've got another 6 or 7 songs in the background as well, man.
I think these songs would go over really well live anyway, Richie.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
They're geared for written, like, to be played live. They'd have a good impact, I reckon, like, you know? Yeah. Like, it's knocking over people's heads playing stuff like that's.
No, it's like, yeah. It's hook driven, Mick.
Yeah.
You know, so Andy, when was the last time you were at a gig or played a gig?
Right, the last time I've already mentioned it. The last time I played a gig and was at a gig was the 2 shows I did over in Copenhagen.
Wow.
You're talking 2020, March. I think it was March the 5th or 6th or something like that. So it's been like 2 years. I mean, to be honest, me and the family have sort of like kept ourselves to ourselves, really, because obviously things have been a bit unsure. And then I've seen a lot of people I know a lot of people that have been to festivals and shows and have ended up getting COVID. I mean, to be honest, we managed to get through the whole pandemic with none of us really going down with it. About 2.5 weeks ago, everybody in the house got COVID, so we had to isolate for 10 days. So we're just literally getting back to normal now. Yeah, but I mean, really, yeah, it's been two years since I've played or been to a gig. So there's a couple that I want to go to. So I'm just sort of like looking and trying to organise a few little bits and pieces. There's a couple of Napalm shows I might pop to and you know, just show my face.
Man, yeah, sure, like you're at the epicenter in Birmingham, like, fuck's sake.
Yeah, well, I mean, Birmingham, there's been a lot of shows on. You know, there's been a lot of shows on, but really, I've been trying to sort of really stay away from it, really. You know, because obviously I didn't want to sort of like end up catching anything. And there's still at the moment as well with all this Omicron or whatever it is. There's still a lot of people catching it. You know, it just doesn't seem to be as
it's mild,
dangerous for people.
Yeah,
but I mean, now I think in the UK, I think from next week they're on about just getting rid of all restrictions. So if you catch it, you catch it. You could, you know, just stay at home. They're not going to do. You know, so I think they're changing it from a pandemic now to an epidemic, aren't they? In England, anyway. Yeah. That's the way they want to look at it. We've got to just get on with it. So, but like I say, I'm gonna start going to a few bits and pieces. I mean, to be honest, I've been to a few, you know, like theatre shows, you know, that kind of thing. You know, not live gig, you know, like bands gigs. But I am looking at a few that I'm going to start going to, because I think it's just about time now that we just start cracking on with it, really, isn't it? There's not, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, man, because you can just kind of fucking go the other way as well and just stay and not go to anything, you know, because I mean, it's almost conditioning in it now, isn't it? Just you're conditioned to wear masks, you're conditioned, like, I mean, we went over to a gig in London to see a band there, was it 4 or 5 weeks ago, to Camden, and it was amazing. The weather was beautiful, and you know what Camden is like, man, just great pubs, and the vibe was back, the fucking gig was fantastic. And it was one of the best decisions I made. It was just like, right, just fucking get out of the house and go to some place you want to see a band. And, you know, it's just the weirdest thing when you just meet all these people. You're nearly overwhelmed by the amount of people that are at this gig. And then you're kind of going, nah, just have my beers and away you go. And you fall back into it like.
I mean, like I say, it's been a weird. I mean, because like all the way through the pandemic as well, I've been on a committee with the Musicians Union, so it's been quite interesting seeing, you know, every 2-3 months having a meeting online, but seeing the way things are changing, and you know, the way you know, over the last maybe the last year to 6 months, how things have slowly been opening up, you know, sort of like around the UK. But I think it's just been like really hard for everybody, hasn't it, really? Because I mean, it's something that you take for granted, like going to see a band, going to see a show, not being able to do it. It's just, after doing it on and off for 40 years, it's bizarre, isn't it? You know, not being able to do that kind of thing. Like,
am I correct in saying that Kieran never toured their Ashen Crowns release? I think that was released in 2019, Obsolence, and they never got a chance to tour it. I think they played. I mean, it's the same with a lot of bands, though, isn't it? I mean, you've got Strigoi as well, haven't you? You know, they released that debut album, and I don't think they've been able to do anything with it, really, have they? I mean, I think they've got a new one, you know, one in the pipeline, but I think there's lots of bands that have released albums, really, that didn't, you know, that never got to do anything with them for at least a year and a half, have they? You know, so it's weird, really. You know, it is an odd. Yeah. Have you been going to Ang Lee of late, or what you been up to?
Oh, the last gig I went to was I took my 18-year-old daughter to her first thrash gig, and it was Death Angel, Exodus, and Testament on the Bass Strikes Back tour.
Oh, class!
That was March the 10th.
Yeah, I was at that. Yeah,
I'm pretty positive that we caught COVID off one of the band members that we met at that gig. Trust me.
Yeah, sure, they were riddled in it.
They were, yeah. I have pictures with my daughter with the the drummer of this certain band in the bar, and a couple of weeks later he was very, very poorly. So you probably know who I'm talking about.
I do. He nearly fucking died. Being true.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah, man, and fair play to her, man. She's into that kind of music. That's class.
She is, yeah.
So I love the fact as well that you put up. It must have been very hard for you to siphon down to 4 of your favourite death metal releases. Mick, I could have predicted 2 of yours anyway. So
that's changed again already, Richard. 4 different ones now, anyway.
Yeah.
Probably the same bands with different albums.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I did was I just dug out my favourite 4, and they'll probably change as well. So the first one is Exorcist. Do any of you remember them?
No, never heard that, Richie.
No.
Andy, Exorcist, no?
No, I don't recognise that, no.
Nightmare Theatre, highly recommend it. Came out in 1985.
Oh God, that would have been like, who's in that then? Anybody we know that's in it, or is it just sort of like one of these random albums that came out and then we never heard of again?
No, I don't recognise any of the names, man. But definitely check it out. It's a great release, man. Nightmare Theatre. This one needs no introduction, obviously.
Yeah.
This one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this one. Again, that changes. That changes.
It was going into my list at one stage, slowly rocked. And it was either leprosy or spiritual healing as well. I was like,
I know, I was kind of going, fucking hell. I'd have to have a chat over that over a few beers. And Celtic Frost.
Yeah.
Classic. And
anything early Celtic Frost, so can't be. Yeah, I mean, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Here's the curveball for you, Messiah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Extreme Cold Weather, the greatest album ever made.
Respect.
Yeah,
And another band then, Dream Dead from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, oh God, yeah, love it. Yeah.
So there were my ones there tonight. I just said I'd have a route around and see what stuck out.
Actually, though, I decided not to do my real top 4 death metal albums anyway, because I was going to just for the wind up just put Realm of Chaos, War Master, Fourth Crusade, and then I thought, I might not go down too well.
Yeah, it's funny, man, if you did.
Picked 4 others.
Okay, so listen, I'm going to, just before I end the show, I'm going to give a blast to Internal Expansion, song 3 of the EP, Time's Up. So give it a listen. That was Internal Expansion. World-class musicianship, brilliant vocals, and fantastic production. You get it all in Time's Up. It is coming out when, Mick?
4th of March.
4th of March.
Bandcamp Friday.
Bandcamp Friday. You have plenty of merch. You've got a lovely package as well, with a hat, lovely beanie hat, a t-shirt, and the EP for, is it $20, is it?
Yeah.
Yep, 20 quid. You get a sticker in there as well. So So I mean, to be honest, this day and age, £20 for a little CD, t-shirt, hat, a hat and a sticker. Absolute bargain, really, isn't it? So you can't, But I mean, really, we did it just to sort of like help, give the band a little push, really. Yeah. So because although we've all been in. We've all been in other bands, and we've all got names for ourselves. It's still a new sort of like band, isn't it? And you've still got to get it out there in a way, haven't you?
Yeah, but you're pushing a quality product, Andy. That's the difference. Class, man. And Kieran, big shout out to Kieran as well. He designed did he do the logo and the front cover?
Yeah.
Yeah, class,
yeah.
Man.
It was funny actually because we're scratching our head over the artwork, and we had a couple of ideas that didn't come to fruition really. And then Kieran had done a few bits and pieces where we sort of like we were toying with, and then he sort of like, as usual as these things happen, he said, "Oh yeah, I've got all the I've got some artwork on my hard drive or whatever." And I think maybe the first or second one he popped up that, the old guy's head, just disappearing into sort of like that. And it's like, as soon as you saw it, I just, that's the one. And, but yeah. So he's done all this sort of like graphics. He does all the sort of like online
social media presence,
stuff as well. So me personally, I loathe social media nowadays. I go on it as little as possible, really, but he loves it. He's avid at it and very good at it as well.
Yeah, I can see the kind of just the flicker of discontent in Mick's face there about not being able to do the social media.
I'm used to the social media side of things anyway.
So listen, lads, hey, come here. Much appreciated for coming on the show, Mick, Andy and Lee. Again, just as I said, I can't emphasize it enough. It is an absolutely fantastic release. Best of luck with it, and its time's up. It's coming out on March the 4th, and all the links will be posted on this interview anyway. Cheers, lads.
Thanks for that, Richie.
Brilliant. Cheers. Great to speak to you again, hopefully. Get to see you again soonish as well.
We'll smuggle you over to fucking Limerick at some stage, Andy. Whether or not you'll agree or not, we'll get you over anyway.
No, definitely.
Yeah.